Hello and welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 233. I'm Clint, aka JCM. This week is Messiah,
Hello.
and Izzy's busy getting his mother for the holidays. We are recording the weekend before Christmas. It's always weird when we have those episodes around the holidays. Usually, like the holidays on a Friday, it's like okay, we won't record that weekend unless people are around. But like it's on when it's on like a Thursday, it's always like, oh, that's kind of a weird one.
Are you
Timing's always strange.
you doing the weekend before, the weekend after?
Yeah, and I'm always Izzy's a tough one too because he's the one who has like family out of state. So it's like, okay, are you flying out early? How early are you flying out? Like it
Mhm.
to me, if it's on a Thursday, I'd be like, I'll fly out, Monday or Tuesday when it's like less. Also, I would hate to fly with how things are right now. But
Uh-huh.
uh yeah, it's like
It's not
okay.
too bad, but yeah, around the
Yeah,
holidays, no thank you.
yeah, with the everything with the FAA and the air traffic controllers, it's just like, okay. But, yeah, so he won't be here. We'll see if his mom leaves, next week, maybe he'll be back on. I'm sure he probably won't have much to play during this week anyways if his mom's in town, so, but
Mhm.
yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the news. Brian Fleming, the co-founder of Sucker Punch, is stepping down after 3 decades, at the studio. He, of course, worked on, obviously, Sly Cooper, Infamous, Ghost of Tsushima, stuff like that. But yeah, on January 1st, he's gonna be, departing, and then Jason Connell and Adrian Bentley will step into as co-studio heads into that role, with Nate Fox, of course, still continuing as co-creative director, alongside them. But yeah, it seems like this is one of those things where like, yeah, 30 years is like, yeah, that's like, okay, that's a full career. Like
Mhm.
this doesn't seem very much like oh, Ghost of Yotei didn't do well. Get out of here situation. It's just, yeah, I I think it's time to I've done a lot of good games, good franchises. I'm ready to move on and do something different, you know.
I feel like
Although
that's an especially long time in this industry too, where it's like, oh,
mhm,
sometimes it's like 10, maybe 20 years, but 30 years is like, oh, so you're like retiring. You're not
yeah,
just like leaving because the studio's doing bad. You're actually like retiring on a good note. What?
yeah. I always think anybody who's still around from mid-90s to me is like feels like the second generation of developers. Like, you have people like from the '80s would be like kind of like the OGs, '80s, '70s, doing some early PC stuff,
Yeah.
early console things, and it's like the '90s, like the next wave that came in. If they're still around, it's like, yeah, they're like you got that status. But yeah, and we'll see because it seems like anytime as big studio person who's been around for a long time leaves, they end up starting like another smaller studio to work on
Mhm.
stuff. Not always successfully, but it's like, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I want to be more, I don't know. I feel like for me, I like to be hands on. And if I was in a position where I'm just reviewing and I'm not necessarily the creative or like, contributing ideas, I feel like for the games, especially if you started off at like, I have no idea what position he started at. Well, he's the co founder. So obviously he's the founder. But he was probably way more involved as a co founder. You know what I mean? Like in the early days, it's like you co found the studio, you're developing, you're sleep. There's people back in the day who sleep on their couch and they're like, they're working 24 hours. Like they're doing that crunch culture that they talk about, but they're doing it because they're so passionate about whatever they're working on. And it's like, yeah, you're probably way more hands-on with what's going on versus nowadays where it's like, okay, let's just sit around a table in the meeting and talk about our milestones. Like that's gotta be boring as shit, especially if you were making stuff back in the day, you know?
Yeah, like, how many things have you, like, physically yourself programmed in the last 10 years, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not, like, reviewing, like, codes levels, stuff like that. Like, it's gotta be, like,
Yeah.
it in that like, at least well, Corey obviously wasn't, like, a CEO, Corey Barlog of, or not CEO, but, the head of, Sony Santa Monica, but, like, he was, like, as a game director, it's way more hands-on, but it's like, yeah, you're, like, up top, it's gotta be tough. Imagine, like, a guild leader for, like, WoW or FF11 or 14, but you don't actually do the raids, you just discuss how the raid went after the fact
Mhm.
to find out
You're
who
just,
gets
like,
the drops.
watching.
Yeah. Alright, so tell me how the fight against, Absolute Virtue went. Okay, what'd they
Mhm.
drop? Alright, let's make sure we distribute this fairly,
Mhm.
and then give me $40 million in bonus. But yeah, it's like it's gotta be one of those things like, I just wanna do more, and the only way to do that is just I'll retire because I had a good run, and then maybe I'll start something small. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. And then the other bit of news is that Warhammer 40,000, Mechanicus 2 got delayed. They wanted to give some I guess the first game had, like, this special, machine code language from the AdMech, who are the main faction in that video game, and I guess it's not in this one, but, like, "Yeah, we wanna" there's a bunch of feedback they got from their Steam Next Fest demo, and like, yeah, I know a lot of people wanted to, miss that language, and also they want to refine a bunch of stuff, so they delayed it there, but they said that. But that's a game I'm looking. I'm like, you know what? I picked up the first one. It was on sale for like $2, and I was like, I'll pick it up. It's kind of like a XCOM like, which is funny because Rogue Trader is also the kind of the same way. I guess more Divinity XCOM, I suppose. But yeah, it got delayed. No update on when the new release date is, but hopefully they'll. It just said spring 2026, so no new date. Then the other thing we've got is I saw this article that was interesting to me saying that the team behind the Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which got announced, and this is a report from IGN, have opened up about how they're approaching the game's difficulty and insta kills, acknowledging it will have to be adjusted for, quote, modern player tastes. And
Boo.
speaking at a press event, they said part of reimagining a game right is adjusting that game evolving for modern player tastes. He also hinted that what kind of gameplay we can expect to see is a core Tomb Raider experience, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. You'll see the big balls rolling, this and that, yada yada. But I'm like, difficulty? I was like, there's not much difficulty in the game. Like, you auto target, you shoot, and you just jump around to kill the creatures. And then the platforming, just like, oh, you gotta now. Okay, I will say the one thing that doesn't age well about the old Tomb Raiders, and this is especially relevant because when I replayed Tomb Raider 2 a while ago, was the bits where you have to step up to the edge of a square, jump back, and then do a run and jump. That way you get the proper like timing. Like, that's
Mhm.
kind of annoying. It's like, I wish, like, you don't always have to do it. You could just run up and then make sure you time it right and just jump. That way you get that perfect distance you need, and then hold X so she reaches out. But there's like some puzzles like, okay, you have to make sure you can't just jump. You have to do a run and jump. So you got to walk to the edge, jump back so you get that right timing. That can be kind of annoying. But other than that, I'm like, what do you mean difficulty? Like, there's just combat's not difficult. You just shoot, and if they keep it like, because I was trying to think about, well, this looks like it'll be more like Tomb Raider Anniversary because it has the slow mo bit, in it, which has had that like a perfect dodge stamina mechanic from Tomb Raider Anniversary, and that game also wasn't difficult. So I don't know. I'm curious what you mean by difficulty, but like, I guess just maybe there's some game design stuff that's like I'll get into it later with the game I was playing about some stuff that doesn't seem intuitive maybe now because nobody does it, I guess. I really wish I had replayed the Tomb Raider 4 because that was on sale, the 4 through 6 remaster. Uh, that way I can kind of, get my head in some of that stuff. But yeah, the lowering difficulty seems weird. I'm like, is it difficult?
I
Like,
feel like they're referencing the fact that, like, you can mess up a jump and die instantly, but
mm-hmm,
the difficulty with that was there was no autosaves. So it's like,
mm-hmm.
if you get run over by a boulder because you turned the wrong way or something, and you have to start at the beginning of the level because you didn't save at any point, that's not difficulty, that's a lesson.
Yeah.
It's
And there
like,
is, yeah,
just it's
yeah.
fine. If you fall into a pit of spikes, that shouldn't
Don't
just
fall in the pit of
do,
spikes.
like
Yeah.
yeah, that shouldn't just do damage until you can roll out of it. That's a very classic Tomb Raider death, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, when was the last time I saved?" Just, like, put autosaves in it, and now there's no difficulty.
Right? Yeah, like, there should be some sort of trigger like, "Oh, if you died here, let's go back to, 30 seconds or something if there was no enemies, or if there was an
Mhm.
enemy, go back to right before the enemy if it was within a good distance or something." Like, yeah, there's a good way to do it. And I think there are in I wish I could remember. I think the 1 through 3 remaster does have quick saves, I believe. Uh, I'd imagine it must because I probably would have been so annoyed if it didn't. But I think it did. But yeah, the only moment from 2 that annoys me, even as a kid and now, was the bit on the Great Wall in the first level where Laura runs through a hallway and then 2 walls of spikes start to close in, but there's a jade dragon on the ground, and it's like the timing to be able to pick that up and still get out is really tough, and I think you do if you pick it up, because if you don't time her stop right, she's not gonna be on it, and then she does a slow step back to grab it,
Mhm.
and that animation could get you killed, and then when you jump, if the luckily the spikes don't, like, insta kill you, but they will, like, start ticking off some damage as, Laura scrapes across her arms across each of the tips of those
Mhm.
spikes, but it's, like, a really annoying timing, that one. Um, but yeah, I could see, like, okay, I guess maybe changing some stuff, but yeah, just having the checkpoints better. That's all we
Yeah, just
usually need.
having, like, I mean, not even like quick save thing because again, that's like on the player and God forbid anybody learn their lesson at any point in 2025. So it's like just do some like auto checkpoints here and there. And then like if it's too far back, maybe then they'll learn to use the quick save or to save like right before they do a difficult jump or something or right before a puzzle. But that's like that was the only thing that was ever difficult. And the difficulty came from the fact that it was a PS1 game, and sometimes she just didn't jump when you asked her to jump. She would just fall off the edge of the cliff or the box, and you're like, ah, frick.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how they change it. Maybe not requiring that perfect jump right on the very edge of the platform to get that perfect distance. Like maybe
Hmm.
tighten some of that up so it's a little more like, okay, we don't need it to be, pinpoint accuracy for this
Yeah,
kind of
it's not
stuff.
as like close call as it used
Because
to
it
be. You had to get it like exactly because it was just barely within the jump range. So it's like if you did anything other than perfect, you didn't make it.
Yeah, and it's like, I also it's so weird, like, why would you design it like that? Like, obviously back then they probably just like, "Oh, we just it's a challenge," but it's like also it just slows the flow of the game, right? Like, unless you're a speed runner or something and you know how to do it perfectly. But
Hmm.
it's just like, why slow the player? Just let them run and jump and explore, this and that. Like, you can still have puzzles that to stop and kinda look around like, "Okay, what do I gotta do?" Like, "Okay, it looks like I have to go here and here or whatever." But, yeah, just to keep things flowing. We'll see how it goes. And then we also had Todd Howard saying, so we had the first episode of the Fallout season 2 come out, and he was saying that the stories and events of the show happened or are happening in the world of Fallout 5. So when Fallout 5 comes out, there will be references to the show either in the past or concurrently, depending on what timeline that the Far Cry 5 takes place. Far Cry 5, Fallout 5 takes place. So that's cool. Yeah, I always like when, hey, like after Cyberpunk Edge Runners came out, they patched in some stuff into Cyberpunk 2077 so you can like references to the characters in the game that you can find. So it's cool that since the game is in development and probably won't be out for a good while, it's like, oh yeah, well we'll reference stuff from the show that's essentially going to be as canon as it can be.
Hmm.
So that's always fun because it kind of makes playing both or experiencing both IPs not necessarily bespoke from one another. It's like no, they're very much together, and so it just makes it a better experience. I feel like. Um, and then the last thing I had here, and we don't have to talk about it much because he made this comment previously, but Jason Schreier had an interview with Sven from Larian, the CEO, of course, and they were talking about AI, and he had talked about this previously on another uh, interview. We didn't talk about it then. This is a couple months ago, I believe. I think because it wasn't reported on too many websites, so it didn't blow up like it did here. But kind of blew up along with Claire Expedition 33 blowing up with some AI usage, I guess, and them getting to have the indie game title taken away from them, which was interesting, and it going to Blueprints. Because they have like super strict rules, regardless of if they changed it or whatever. It's like, no, we have
Hmm.
strict rules. Okay, if we got strict rules, you got strict rules. But for Sven, he was just saying like he had some AI comments and it was very trimmed down for the interview. So then it blew up, and then Jason Schreier released the full transcript of the conversation. Essentially, kind of boiled down to it's just like, hey, we told people that they can use these tools, see if it helps them do anything. And it doesn't seem like it's necessarily making things faster. We're kind of using it for experimentation for white boxing. White boxing is just doing simple layouts of stuff before you actually do like final assets is just like saved out, which it seems to be like what a lot of people are using it for is like, oh, temporary posters or signage before you replace it. Because the opposite is you have the Uncharted 4 situation where there's there was a picture in the trailer that was a placeholder, and then that was a real picture, IRL. And then the trailer went out and they got called out. Hey, this is a real picture. Like,
Hmm.
and then they're like, yeah, oops, we meant to replace it with, it was a temporary one. We meant to replace it with our own, hand drawn or whatever, design picture. And they changed it. So it's like, that's the inverse. Like you accidentally leave in a temp asset and that. So to avoid accidentally stealing someone's artwork, you're like, oh, we'll just use generative AI real quick to make something, and then we'll basically it was like now you got a flag on the notes like, okay, make sure we did we get the real asset loaded before this launch? 'Cause
Problem is, the Gen AI is still stealing people's work. Like,
yeah,
what do you
yeah,
mean? We don't
yeah,
wanna get in copyright issue. Ah!
yeah. But
Ah!
But it's interesting here because, like, he's saying, it's, he says, I think experimentation, white boxing, some broader white boxing, um, application retargeting, cleaning, editing. It's like these are things that really take a lot of time, so that allows you to do more. So there's a lot of value in terms of the creative process itself. It helps in doing those things, but I haven't seen the acceleration. So I'm really curious to see because there's all studios that said, "Oh, this is gonna be faster." If you look at the state of the art of video games today, there's still, intermittency. We will eventually manage to do it. Will we eventually manage to do it at large scale? I don't know, if we'll be able to. And then Jason talks about it doesn't seem like it's causing more efficiency, so why use it? He says, "This is a tech industry, so you try stuff. Can't afford not to try things because if someone finds the golden egg, and you're not using it, you're dead in the industry." That seems a little I don't agree with that one. But, a lot of stuff he's saying is, like, in terms of generation, basically on the white box, and he says, like, it's kinda up to the artist on whether or not they wanna do it. It's like so that's being used by concept artists. They use it the same like they would use photos. We have, like, 30 concept artists at this point or something. Um, so we bought a boutique concept art firm at the moment that sorry, so the way this translates, because obviously he doesn't have perfect English, it reads funny sometimes. That everybody was using reducing them because they were going to AI. In our case, it just went up. If there's one thing that artists keep on asking for, it's more concept artists. But what they do is they use it for exploration. And he goes, there's I won't go through the entire transcript, but it sounds like kind of and I wish we had some of the concept artists to talk about it, but it sounds like what we were talking about where sorry, where if you were able to output like, "Hey, we have an idea for a level," you get I'm assuming and again, I'm not a concept artist, I don't know how they pitch this. It was like, "Hey, we need to make" for, like, Baldur's Gate, let's say, "We need to make a, concept art for this realm, this realm, this realm." It's like, "Okay, well, those realms are all real places in the world of D&D." It's like, "Okay, do can you do some concept art for Baldur's Gate, for this place, for the Grove, for all these other places you go to, the Goblin Camp?" Just so we can, see it. And if your output is 10 pieces in a given time, if you can feed it your own artwork to get your style, that way you're not stealing from anybody, which is what we talked about way back with Corridor Digital.
Mhm.
Um, and then you can kinda, like, generate, like, "Okay, I can do 10 normally," and then maybe have it generate, yeah, a couple more, and then be like, "Okay, I kinda like what it's doing here, let me riff off this." And then kinda, reimagine it as with a human touch or something, or just be like, "Here's my 10 and here's 3 additional ones for the other zones I couldn't get to because of time," or something like that, some kinda change or just, like, little bonus bits, and, like, and let me like, "I'll show you this, but let me iterate on it." Like, I feel like that would like, I think that would be okay if it's your own artwork and you're not using the finished product. It's just simply for previs kinda things, but they again, it's the problem is, like, it's just him talking about it, and I kinda wanna get more artists discussing it because there are some ex-employees there who said, like, "Oh, I left because of the AI stuff."
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, but I wanna know from the other people. Like, I do wanna hear both sides. I wanna hear, like, okay, the concept artists who, like, it works for them, or where is it if it's a time saver, where is it saving you time? How is it saving time? And it's not necessarily the generative nature of it, but some other aspect of it. Like, 'cause there's, like because again, we talked about before, there's a difference between generative AI and analytical AI. And, yeah, so I'm just I wish they would expand on it, but it seemed like it made it sound like, "Oh, yeah, we're using" it read in the initial quotes and interviews like they're using AI in the finished product, and it's still like, "No, we're not using it in the finished product," and this and that. So I wish I could hear from the artist and not just the the dude at the top who has to give the memorandum to be like, "Hey, go ahead and use the tool if you want." I wanna hear from the people, and if they're that way, if that are they using it correctly, like we've talked about, but
I feel like the
it's,
problem though is like they're not building their own AI system. So it's like it can be as close an environment as you think it is, but if you're using somebody else's AI model, it's been trained on outside stuff. Like there's no way around it. And if it's
yeah,
connected to the internet, it's going to scrape things that probably you're not telling it to scrape because
yeah,
as we've seen in the past, AI just kinda well, generative AI just kinda does what it fucking wants. It doesn't really, like, always stay within the bounds of the parameters you give it.
yeah, you'd need,
And also,
like
it's like, I think a lot of people have more issue with the environmental toll that it takes. So it's like
True, true.
I could use an in-house AI to help me with level layouts. I could give it some parameters or I can give it a base and say, make some variations off of this specific model and like go from there. So it's like your generative AI may just be literally a plane of gray boxes. And it's like it's up to you to rearrange it or finish it, stuff like that. But most studios aren't going to be using an in-house AI model
Yeah.
do that because it just becomes like a random algorithm at that point where it's just like take these size squares on this plane and put them in random places. Now you're just creating like procedural generation is what you've created. So it's like it can't be as like closed system as they say it is unless they have developed their own in-house thing from the ground up that's not connected to the internet
Yeah,
because
it'd have
it'll like go wild and scrape whatever it wants.
right, yeah, because it's like our company, RT says you can use Copilot, but they have, like, methods for how to use Copilot, and, like, I know people who have used AI to help build, like, Power BI, tables and loads and do stuff in Excel and stuff like that. It's like that's not necessarily generative, it's just translating like, "Oh, if you wanna make this to this is how you do it," and it just does it. And it's like, "Okay," like, but that's not generative AI, that's just, like, formatting essentially. It's like it's how to fit it in here, and it's not necessarily generating it, it's just, "This is how you present the data in this form." But Copilot's still connected to the internet, and
Mhm.
it's not like, oh, you get a CD key for, you know, Chat GPT and you install a local version and then yada yada or something or whatever. It's like you like that's what you kind of need something that's off where you can have it only it's like I said, if they're not making their own, it would have to be a standalone product that you can have on a private server, not connected to the internet, that's just on your intranet, and then only load up stuff there. That way it's isolated and make sure there's no pre-loaded assets in the program.
Mhm.
um that's, like, the only way you could do it, but then it's like, yeah, well, if everyone's doing that, you're still having the environmental impact. The other part of the environment is, like, because everybody's doing it. It's not just businesses, it's also the
Yep.
people too, so it's like, yeah, 'cause again, I think there's and it's interesting you said the procedural bit because that reminds me of, like, what, Unreal did on their last presentation where they're showing, for environmental artists, putting the tools they made for Unreal Engine, and it was like, "Oh, you can put here." It's like, "Oh, you want a river?" It's like, "Okay, you can put the river, and then it will procedurally they're like, "Oh, if this is a river, that means there's this type of rock, and then this like then the landscape has to do this for the deformation." And it will procedurally generate that, and it's like, that's a really cool process. It's like, that's not AI, but it is that what we've used in other things, but you have to design that procedural generation, like, if this, then that,
Mhm.
it's just an if then statement. And, but yeah, it's like, it's tough to yeah, because I don't know. It's like, okay, don't use it in the finished product. Yeah, because like, they got a pretty big backlash, but it's like, and who knows if they'll, like, fully reverse from the internal use, but again, I wish I knew more about because he talks about how many concept artists they have that lost their jobs because people are being replaced by AI, so they took
Mhm.
on the concept artists. It's like, okay, that's good, you're at least hiring them, but then to say, "Okay, but you can also use it," it's like, I don't know if I'd wanna necessarily use a tool that I lost my job to, but, uh
Right, like, this concept artist lost their job at a big studio to an AI tool, and they get hired by a new studio that's like, "Hey, we'll take you in. By the way, everybody's using that same AI tool, but it's optional." And you're just like, fuck off, actually. I'm gonna go be a
yeah,
freelancer."
yeah, that'd be kinda crazy.
And the thing of
But
using it like, placeholder art and stuff like that is I feel like when the situation happens where they use either a real picture or like generative AI to as like a placeholder poster or picture or anything like that, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, it ended up in the final product because we meant to replace it and we just didn't." I feel like it would stand out a little more if you just put like I don't know a paint drawing of a stick figure
right,
or like
J
something
add
memey or stupid
JPEG
and
here. Yeah,
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 something like just really dumb and funny. That way, if you do forget to add it in, somebody finds it and it's like, haha, this is really funny. Like, this obviously doesn't belong here, but somebody's little like paint doodle is here and it's really funny. But then
mhm,
when you're like doing a final sweep of the area or the assets or whatever, and obviously this thing stands out, you're like, yeah, we need to replace that or fuck it, just leave it in because it's funny. Like, I don't know. Just it takes I feel like it takes less time to just have, like, a set of default JPEGs or,
Yeah.
like, bitmaps that you can just upload as, like, something that everybody uses, and it's all just, like, stupid memes and stuff, and then that way nobody misses it when they're doing a sweep of the assets.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a tough one too because everybody's like, "Oh, well, I'm not gonna play Divinity. I'm not gonna play Divinity." I'm like, I don't know if I like. I'm not that kind of person to be like, "Oh, now you're dead to me." It's like I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. But I'm also like, it's not each individual dev's fault, right? It's like
Right.
it's both corporate pressure to be like, if everyone, like you said, if everyone's doing it and you're not, it's like, okay, can we find? Because I think that's an aspect of too is not necessarily finding a way that it can work, but an ethical way that it can work.
Mhm.
And that's the other part of it, which is kind of less of a factor because it's like all because you're got shareholder well, I don't know if they have they're privately owned. But like other places, got that shareholder value, blah blah blah. So like got the push there to use those tools and this and that. But it's like yeah, I'm not gonna write them off. Like now, if when they replace people, that's when I'm like that's my line. It's like okay, you replace them, not telling them they can use a tool. It's like or if they start using that tool in lieu of doing anything. And then I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, well now you replace all your concept artists with prompt engineers.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, okay, I'm not playing your game. Because like
Goodbye.
the AI voices in Arc Raiders is they're not just they didn't just do them. There's like a company that people go in knowing what they're recording for and signing the rights to their voice for this AI program, which is still weird to me. But I'm not like, oh, you're dead to me. Versus just like if they did AI voices like without the consent of anyone, then I'd be like, okay, I'm I'm out. I'm done. Like this is not good. But it's like it's weird. Like it's weird that they have that process in place wherever they are to do like, oh yeah, we'll just go in and sign the rights away to our voices, then they can use them in AI however they want. And
It's like
it's
donating plasma, you're just like, "I need a quick
yeah,
payout, I'll go record some lines," and it's gonna sound like shit anyway, so it doesn't
yeah.
matter if I'm a good voice actor or not.
And I guess in this is like it's not a story game versus like if Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis came out and Laura and all the dialogue was AI, were AI voices, even if they were signed off, like legit done and not stolen kind of thing, that would be like, okay, well, I don't want to play this. Like, because this is a story, like this is a story game. Like Arc Raiders very much you're in the game, you're talking to other people. It's the NPCs. Even then, like sometimes 'cause I was trying to figure out, okay, who's the AI voice? And at first I thought like, oh, it's only when you're pinging stuff because the way how dynamic the ping system is, where it's like Apex Legends, they have to have all the artists. If they add something new, all the artists have to come in and all the voice actors come in and record the line for what they're saying. So if they ever add anything new, they don't have to do that with the AI scripting. So it's like, okay, I see the benefit there of not having to, hey, we have a new map, bunch of new stuff. We don't have to schedule time to bring everybody in to, all 20 legends they got in Apex or whatever. But I guess they can do it from home now. But
Mhm.
yeah, but there's times like it can sound fine, but then other I'm like, okay, this is clearly like it's an AI voice, no matter how good it sounds in other locations. But it's like, and then usually I'm like, again, the dialogue doesn't matter because it's not part of the story for that game. But yeah, it's just we're in a weird spot because they did that for the finals as well. The announcers are AI, but I don't play that game. But yeah, it's a weird one. We'll see what they do. But the internet I feel like also has a short memory. Like if
Mhm.
the and it's weird that this didn't blow up a couple months ago and it just blew up now, but I think it's because I forget who he talked to, but I think it's the case of this was Jason Schreier and not to diminish the other person who they did the interview with, but it's like, if he does it with Dexerto versus Jason Schreier, it's like, no offense. But it's like Walter Cronkite, like back in the day versus just some local news person. Like there's a
Mhm.
big difference.
There's a
Um
lot more eyes on one than the other.
Yep. But yeah, so we'll see what happens if they have any sort of internal stuff. But yeah, not much else for news. There was one article I didn't want to touch on. Well, I didn't save it, but it was like because the article was so misleading. It was like, oh, Naughty Dog had to do mandatory overtime, or is under a mandatory overtime uh protocol. I forget what they worded it. And then I read it. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, from October to the week of this article, they stopped. That was the time. It's like now they're done because they had to meet an internal. They had an internal deadline for a internal demo for Sony that they missed twice. So they required everybody to work at least an hour. Was it an hour or 2 hours a day? I think it was an hour a day at least, not exceeding 60 hours total for the week. So, like, 40-hour work week, I think it was, like, not exceeding 60, so it's, like, 20 hours of
Mhm.
overtime. And it's, like, an hour I'm like, "Okay, a minimum of an hour," like, especially because I'm sorry, but I've worked a job, and it's, like, I've been in departments where it's, like, "We have to get this stuff done because we have a turnaround time," and it's, like, if you don't meet that, it's, like, that's wrong. Now our company also is trying their best to reduce overtime hours in certain departments, and they're working on that. Like, they're tracking that KPI, but this is like from sometime in October to 2 weeks ago or whatever. And it's like because you missed, yeah, if you miss a deadline, I'm sorry, but that's just a job. Like that's irrespective of the games industry. That's a job thing. Like, and I just thought it was a weird article. It's like I don't
There's
know.
also
Maybe it's
no detail of the missed deadlines. It just says because of 2 missed deadlines. So it seems like, the crunch, quote unquote, is a punishment for people not working hard enough, something like that. Well, it's like, were the deadlines reasonable? Did they happen because of something out of their control? Like what's the detail on this? And like, yeah, it's
right.
not supposedly it's not as bad as it was and it's limited. Like you're not required to live anywhere or anything like that, but I think a lot of the heavy backlash, I guess, that came from it was, like, they required people to be in office more than,
Yeah, yeah.
like
That
like, a
that
whole week, and people were, like, talking about how they had to scramble for, like,
daycare.
childcare and stuff like that, so it's like, that's understandable, but
Yeah, that's the
I
part.
feel like this is like a mandatory overtime thing. They're not going to necessarily punish you for not being able to come in one of those 5 days a week because you couldn't find somebody to take care of your kid. Like,
Yeah.
that's not that's it's fine, like, as long as you're doing what you need to do, I'm sure it's fine. So it's just like, there's not enough detail in these, like, missed, uh, deadlines or, like, the requirement to come in the office and stuff like that. They're making it seem like they brought the hammer down on everybody and your job is in jeopardy if you don't follow these exact guidelines, where it's like, I feel like maybe that wasn't necessarily the case, but also I wanna know why those deadlines were missed. Like, whose fault was it? If it's the
Mhm.
management's fault, this is a problem, and you need to look at your management, not your developers. But if this is because of something that was, like, out of their control or whatever, then everybody's probably on the same page of like, "Okay, yeah, we need to get this done."
Yeah, yeah, after it didn't say 2, it says multiple deadlines that were missed. So it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
when were they? And then, yeah, how was it because it wasn't every department that had to come in, they said. It was just like, it said, trying to see, blah, 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 and it was 8 hours a week, so 1 hour and 36 minutes a day, essentially. Blah, 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 and yeah, because most of it's developers. So it must be like, obviously, it's the people who gameplay folks, stuff like that, directly that like obviously it's not going to be concept artists and those folks there. But yeah, it's like it's just the way I don't know. There's the way the article is written
Mhm.
that it's one of those things where if you just read the headline, it looks way worse. But yeah, because it's like the report concludes that the mandated overtime ended this week, and this was and Naughty Dog will return to just 3 days a week mandated in office through the end of the year. And then I guess they review their work from home schedules every year, which I guess makes sense. So yeah, it's like okay, it was a limited time. Yeah, in began in late October, so essentially late October through November to this week, and it's like okay, they're done. It's like I get it. We have people where it's like in another state of ours where they're way behind and they work weekends sometimes, and it's like but they're working weekends because they don't have enough. The problem there is like, okay, it comes down to labor really. It's like labor reliability. They have bad reliability on temp workers and just the general, no offense, but the general workforce in that state is bad. Like the
Mhm.
retention they have, they even raised minimum wage. Or not the minimum wage for that place, not minimum wage like, for the state. But the starting pay wage they did for that position they increased to try to help retain employees, but that just like the workforce in the area is not that great versus other states that we have other warehouses that have higher employee retention, and better operational efficiency. And in this case, they fired the person who was running like they got rid of him. It's like you're not doing a good job. Like we're missing KPIs, and they got rid of him. It's like okay, we have a problem. You're not fixing it, which is what your job is. And
Mhm.
but it was just super annoying to me because I'm like I worked in the same position for 10 years, and I'm like not his, but the warehouse in general. And I'm like this is what you need to do, is you just need to increase your workforce, you need to have better incentives, like, you gotta fix it from the bottom, just do a mass hiring spree, you should have enough people for this, blah, blah, like, it shouldn't be an issue where if one person's out, it causes everybody else to have problems, like, that's
Mhm.
and it's tough when it's like it's a fulfillment location. It's not like, if I'm out for a couple weeks, I'm fine because 'cause I'll either A, make sure my work gets done, or B, there's contingencies in place that it can be done, for that cycle, and I can get back to it when I get back. But, when it's like order fulfillment, stuff like that, it's like you need people. It's just
Mhm.
like you but yeah, it's a whole thing where that's going all over. This is like, yeah, if you're missing your stuff, it's like but it just reads as like the Naughty Dog devs are reportedly working mandatory overtime. And you go and you read it, it's like, "Oh, it's for just a short time." It makes it read like it was the whole dev time.
Mhm.
That's not the
And the
case,
fact
but
that they're like, "Oh, well, now we're worried about, what's gonna happen in the future of the development cycle," and it's like, hopefully somebody has learned a lesson from this,
right, yeah.
maybe. Somebody
D
at some level who is responsible for this has learned a lesson, and it will not be an issue later on. And the whole thing about like, "Oh, well, Naughty Dog has promised that there's no crunch culture anymore, blah, blah, blah," and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I understand that you say that, and then now articles coming out about your mandatory crunch cycle or whatever. But again, there's just not enough detail of like,
Mhm.
was this the dev's fault? Was this management's fault? Was everything out of their control? Like, did some massive tragedy happen, or did something get corrupted or lost and everybody had to start something over again? Like,
Or not even them, like, is it also just is it Sony? Like,
yeah.
not just the studio, 'cause I've had things where, like, we get, you know, mandates from on high, like a division vice president, and it's like, "Okay, that's great, but your metrics for doing this are based on bad data for us specifically." Like, it's fine, like, the idea, but, like, no one's everybody is a yes man, and no one's pushing back, and I'm like, I'm pushing the fuck back and be like, "No, this is why it's a problem." And unfortunately, and
Mhm.
then I get people going higher up going, "Okay, well, I agree with what you're saying, but this is what they said." I'm like, "Oh my god." I'm like, so it could be one of the things like Sony's like, "We want a demo." And I can understand from Sony, like, we want to make sure things are moving swiftly. I mean, that's how you
Mhm.
determine if a game lives or dies when you're the producer, right? And especially Sony, it's Sony-owned studio. So it's like, "Hey, we want to see the demo." It's like, "Okay, well," then they probably ask like, "Could you have one by, you know, Q3?" 2025, and I'm sure maybe the way things were going at the time. I mean, look at the God of War documentary, right? It's like
Mhm.
that one bit when Corey's like, "We should be here and like right now in development, and we're here. We have 1,000 bugs," or whatever it was. It was like, "We are in a worse place," and and you saw it later in that documentary, like the game getting delayed. Like we have to delay the game.
Mhm.
We can't. It's like it's so there could be a problem where like you think you're moving along, lessons learned from other games, like oh we're in a good spot, but maybe it's because you're doing something different. Damn, they talk about how ambitious and expansive this game is. It's like, "Oh, we think we can hit that," and then it turns out, "Oh, we can't because the work required to do it." Like, there's only so many people you can throw at a problem at a certain point, right? It's like
Mhm.
working out. There's diminishing returns if you just keep doing more sets. It's like, sure, you can add people, but not everybody can work on this one thing of animation or this or that. It's like you at a certain point, only so many people can do the input.
Mm,
Other
yeah.
people's yeah, so it's and they talk about, and then part of this article from IGN was saying how, Naughty Dog hired some producers to help, alleviate, workload, like, that was their task, like, to help kinda and prevent burnout and stuff like that, but, like, some of those producers have reportedly left the company, so it's like, who knows how long those producers have how many of those producers have stayed, is it working? And it's like, did maybe we course correct too much and that's why we missed?
Mhm.
I but I don't want them to blame the work from home, like, "Oh, well, there's no real oversight work from home because we can't, like, stop by their desk and see how they're doing." It's like, that shouldn't be a takeaway either.
Mhm.
And it's just like but yeah, I'm not there, so I can't speak to it more. It's just the article's interesting. It's funny, I didn't wanna tag it because we ended up talking about it for a good bit anyways, but yeah, for me, it was more the title plus the bit. It's like, it's not being game stuff, and we're just being, "Yeah, that's kind of a lot of jobs." Like, we gotta
Yeah, and I feel like it got extra attention just because Naughty Dog
it's
made this
Naughty
whole
Dog.
thing of like,
Yeah,
we're not doing crunch anymore,
yep,
nevermore,
yep, yep.
whatsoever. Like none of our games are gonna be crunched, and now they have like a teeny little bit of crunch, and it's like, okay, but what caused it? And
Yep.
are you learning a lesson from it? That's all I need to know.
Yeah, yeah, lessons learned is super important, and that's, like,
Mhm.
major KPI analysis there, but yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for the news. Like I said, we're in the holidays, so not too much. So we can go ahead and move over to what we've been playing. I saw you were playing more
Necessiba? Nessie? I don't know. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Um, but yeah, we played it for a little bit yesterday with Michael's brother on a new map because they did an update where they changed some things and added a bunch of new like little quality of life things and just more things to kind of like fill out the world. There's like butterflies and more bees and just like things that kind of make the map feel a little bit more alive. I did learn because nobody told me initially, but I learned that they added sharks. I learned that when a shark came up and ate my character, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting. That wasn't there before." But yeah, we just played that for a little bit and just we kind of played on his map and just meet new characters, and we're kind of starting off like brand new. But it was especially funny to me because this is a map that Michael and his brother had started for like a few hours before. They played maybe like 2 or 3 hours just to get it started and set up a base and stuff. And I come onto the server and I run down from the spawn, and that's where I learned that sharks were in the game because I didn't even make it to the base the first time. I got eaten. But I get down to the base and Michael's like, "Oh yeah, well, last time we played together, you did all of like the base management stuff." I was like, "Yeah, because that's my bread and butter. Like menus, give me menus." So he's like, "Okay, well on this map, I wanted to do a bunch of the base management stuff." And I walk into their base and I'm like, "What did you do? What is going on here?" He's like, "Well, I don't know how to do anything."
That's funny.
Well, okay, well, why do you have so many chests of just everything? He's like, "'Cause I don't know how to filter it." I'm like, "Okay." So I ended up doing base stuff with him again anyway, but it was because we only played for a couple hours. So I was like, "It's fine, whatever. I'll help you fix your life." But yeah, we haven't gotten too much into it, like the new update stuff. We noticed almost right away one of the quality of life things. There's this particular boss that they changed the way that his arena spawns. Because its arena is like right under their in the underground part under their base. It's just like right there. And I think Michael and I on our original map had spent about a day and a half looking for that arena. Um, so I guess they changed whatever algorithm makes it spawn near like or within the map when you go down underground and it generates everything. So it's a little bit easier to find this particular boss and you'll have to spend a day digging through sand to find it, so that was kinda nice.
That's funny.
But other than that, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 because the 7.4 patch came out on Tuesday. So I just was playing through the MSQ. I haven't finished it yet, but I think I'm on like the final cutscene for it because I did the new dungeon and the new trial. And I haven't done the new or like the final Arcadian raid tier yet, but I'm
Mhm.
like really excited because the characters look really cool. So hopefully I'm gonna start that either today. Of course, I still haven't got to play the Nuclear Obscure stuff. So it's like I kind of want to do that today, but I haven't been playing much during the week itself because Michael's been sick. So it's usually I come home and disinfect everything and then like do some things around the apartment and then I go to bed because I'm tired. But and he's already in bed, so it's like, all right, I'll just go to sleep too. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a huge did you buy anything from the Steam sale or browse any of the Steam sales that are going right now? Because there's three
Oh god,
happening.
I haven't even browsed it yet. I'm grounded for all the money that I
Oh.
spent in Japan, so I
Oh,
haven't
no.
really looked at much of that yet. And then I came home and immediately bought a new set of headphones and was like, "Okay, I need to stop. I'm
Yeah.
grounded." So, I haven't looked at it yet, no, but, because I also just have so much in my backlog, and now I have the Vita too, so now it's like
Yeah,
whenever I
yeah.
wanna play
True,
something new,
true.
I'm like on the Vita shop, like, "Ooh, what do I wanna play?" I started playing, Tearaway, that was another thing I started doing, kinda just on my
Mhm.
downtime at work. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so cute. So now I'm, like, really excited to get, like, Little Big Planet and, that game you told me about, Escape Plan. I wanna get that too. Just little things that use all of the little, like, the back touchpad and the touch screen and all the little things that the Vita does. It's been fun just kind of, like, tapping around on my Vita to do things in the game. It's really cute.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I was browsing there's a lot of stuff on the sale, the Steam sale, that I was looking at. some that were on my wish list. I was like, man, I wish they were a little cheaper. Like Dying Light: The Beast is on sale again, but it's only 20% off. And I was like, man, I really want to play that game, but I kind of wish it was a little less than that. Outer
Mhm.
Worlds 2 is 30% off, but it's still $49. Um, Jump Space is on sale for 20% off. I was like, ooh, if I could get you and Michael to play that, it's like I could see picking that up and maybe gifting it. um,
Is that the
and
one that's
then
like Void Crew, but it's more like
it's
you go
yeah, it
out?
you got yeah, and you can, like, jump out and raid stuff, and there's also, like, FPS combat, like, I think there's, like, aliens that you fight or, like, robots or
Mhm.
something, so it's, like, a little more involved, which I like, 'cause, like, I did like Void Crew, but I was like, "Ah, I kinda wish, like, that one mission where you went out to go get the thing from the outpost and we were, like, fighting off the ships and whatnot." It's like
Mhm.
and then I went out, like, that's fun, I kinda wish there was more, like, involved, like, or if you guys are fighting a ship and, like, one of us jumps out, or, like, I jump out and, like, "Okay, I'll go raid that ship. I'll disable their engines or something," if I think that's a possibility, and, like, while you guys are fighting it, and then, like, so I'm killing people inside, and you guys are dodging bullets or whatever, and then we,
Mhm.
like, take it out, get this, like, that seems like fun. And I think there's a demo for it, but yeah, because I was like, "I
Well,
guess I
there's a
could play it
demo, I'll
single
try it 'cause
player."
it is on my list.
Yeah. Like, oh my god, there's pizza.
Eh.
I was looking at the video and there's like someone was eating a pizza at one point, like on the ship. Like they picked up a slice of pizza and it's like, oh man, maybe it gives you like a boost. But yeah, that I'd like to play. But then Green Hell's on sale for like $2.50. I was like, oh, I could pick that up because I never ended up playing it because it's too much into the forest. Golf with your friends is a buck 50. I was like, okay, but I did pick up what I pick up. I picked up like I said, Warhammer 40K Mechanicus because that was on sale for like $2. And then I picked up 40K Gladius Relics of War, which is like a 4X Warhammer game. And I tried out the introduction of it for a bit, and it's like because I really like Civ, so I'm like, okay, I'll try a 4X Warhammer game. And they're like hit me with a lot of explanation or stuff. I'm like, well, I know how a 4X game works, but like just learning the new layouts of like, okay, I'm familiar enough with Civ. I know the order of operations for stuff. Like, okay, I click my building. Okay, now how do I get this? Okay, now I started learning all that. Like just the UI, gotta get used to that.
Mhm.
So I picked those up. But I haven't put too much time into it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on sale that I wish was just slightly less. Like Jackbox Party Pack 11's on sale, but I want it a little cheaper. The Red Strain DLC for Adafall, the second one's on sale. I mean, it's only $16. Maybe I'll get it at some point, but uh, Hades 1 is 70% off. I still haven't played that. Like Chronos New Dawn, I wish it was a little cheaper. Yeah, a couple of things on there. It's like, man, if they were just a little less, or like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, I picked them up. But anyways, oh, I forgot that Tomb Raider 4 through 6 are 50% off right now. You'll get replay 4. But I have been playing Routine is
Ooh.
what I've been playing. So I've been streaming that. Came back to so I streamed that Monday through Friday. I picked that up and beat it. Short game. I think you could beat it in like 4 hours if you were quicker. Of course, I was a little slower, so I think it took me like 7 hours to beat.
Mhm.
Very Alien Isolation. It's also been in development for like a long time, so it's very heavily inspired. It's got that 80s aesthetic. I thought it was like 80s futurism, but kind of like Intergalactic is kind of doing. Uh, I guess more 90s futurism, but it actually I guess just takes place in the 80s. Like I didn't know that until like
Mhm.
I was listening to like a dialogue bit. And there's a doctor like, oh, Doctor so and so, July whatever, 1988, and I was like, so I guess after like it's just a different universe where after the moon landing and whatnot, like we built a hotel resort on the moon, and then we also like advanced tech in it, sort of like because there's like these robots, like totally different kind of Fallout style. Like we just had crazy tech, like we just got super advanced. But yeah, it's pretty fun. The problem I have with it is there are some quirks to it that really annoyed me. Where like small things. So there you have this like there's no UI, which I think is really cool. There's no cursor unless you're like close to an object you can actually interact with, then like a little cursor will pop up. So there's no cursor at all. I left the film grain and all that those effects on because they're very much like 80s vibe to it. So it really worked for me in this game. Usually I turn that stuff off, like chromatic aberration, all that jazz. But I left it on for this game. But there's this gun you pick up. It's like utility weapon, and it looks very 80s. And it takes batteries, and their default ability with it is to like shoot an electrical charge, which is how you kind of defend yourself against the robots that you encounter later, that are trying to kill you. And each blast takes one charge. There's three dots, like three hash marks on the three dashes on the battery on the display. So every time you fire, you see it goes down, one goes down, and you have to replace it. But they have these batteries that are lying around that you can pick up. But I found one, and its LED screen that's flashed that indicates the battery level is flashing, and there's no dashes. I'm like, oh, it's empty. So there's no point to pick it up. But actually, it is a full battery. They just forgot to put the dashes on it, I guess. So,
Oh.
like so I in my mind, I'm like, "Why?" It's like, to me, it means this is empty, don't grab it, not it has 3 bars full. So, it was like that kind of annoyed me, just a little minor little thing. There was a bit where I got stuck for, like, 40 minutes at the very beginning where it was like, okay, you wake up, in this room, and it's like you get out, you find the gun, which they call a cat, I forget what it stands for, and you learn about it. So you have all these papers, you learn how the cat works, how you can get modules attached to it to do different things. And then there's like these the way you save is like they use these projectors that you can connect with, and you bring up your cat and you push this button that like wirelessly connects it to the projector, and you can interact. That's how you find out your tasks, your database, all this other stuff. So I look at it, it's like, okay, I go to tasks and I click tasks and it goes, I found a door that was locked and needs a code. It says, find the code for the door. And that's the name of the task. I'm like, okay, that's my objective. Find the code for the door. So I'm walking around like, okay, immersive sim style in my mind. I'm like, it'll be written down on a post-it note or Lorelei and the Laser Eyes part of the environment or something. So I'm like, I'm walking around looking and there's like this dark corridor. I have no flashlight. And I'm like, I can't find it anywhere. I'm like, I don't know where this thing is. And so I'm like, I am talking with chat. So I'm not like, if I was just playing offline, I would have like looked up what the hell, where's this code? Because I would have been pissed off. But I was like talking with chat, walking around, like 30, 40 minutes goes by. I'm not making any progress. I'm at the start of the game. And then I go back and I'm at the projector and I'm going through some stuff, clicking through things, and I click on the task and I see the task, find the code. And then I click on the task, and then it pops down this field of like a description of like supplemental material. And it's like this dialogue bit about like, oh, hey, we had some problem with the doors, blah, 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 this and that. I went ahead and changed the code to the door to be this. And then we got the code. And I was like, no video game has ever been like the solution to the objective is in the description of the objective. And I've played games where like you have an objective like, hey, I need to find Jason Carter. Okay. As I find clues in the game, the objective updates with little supplemental bullet points like I found the butcher at the town said they saw him over here. Okay, and this. Oh, I found a key to the locked cell. I could either do and like it starts expanding on what you've discovered, right? Like and it kind of updates like this is your objective. Here's all the updates to that objective. This was like I just have an objective. When the hell did I get this data? And what are you talking about? Like and so it was like I got super mad. It was like this weird Metal Gear back of the CDK situation where I was like no one told me like it was so odd. So I just like wasted 40 minutes. It's like the solution was here, which I was like, "Okay, whatever." So that kind of annoyed me. And then I had a bit where, I did like where it's like I print out a badge for myself. I did that pretty quick early on. I'm like, "Oh, it kinda teaches you how to lay down and look under stuff," because I go super prone, which only comes in handy, like, once. They teach this mechanic. So anyways, I get my badge, I put it on, and then later I have to go check into this, hotel area to proceed. And this little cute little square robot guy's like, you need to log in to your blah blah blah. And so I go to the machine and then it's like, oh, please enter your ID number. I'm like, shoot, I have my badge. And there's like this announcement the entire time, like, for security reasons, please have your badge on your chest at all times. And like, pinned up. I'm like, okay, I get that. You're reinforcing that. That's great. I'm like, okay, is there like a mirror? Can I see how do I look at this? And then later, like a couple minutes go by, and then I'm like, I look down? I look down and like, yeah, I could see my character's chest and I see my badge and the numbers are upside down, but I can clearly read them. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Typically in games, the first person you look down, you don't see your feet or anything, let alone your chest, your upper body. So I was like, that
Mhm.
was kind of a cool design, but it did kind of throw me off because I'm like, that's very much old school kind of style. Cause I feel like only games back in the day would kind of do the feet bit. Like Halo. I'm trying to think of any other first person shooters recently where you can like look down at your feet. But anywho, uh, so that was fun. But then I had a moment where I was in a spot and I couldn't figure out. I had to get into this room and I couldn't figure out how to get in. I saw a vent and I've interacted with the vents previously, but there was like I found like an emergency button to open the vent. It's like, okay, but I don't see a button for the vent. And I'm like wandering around, I'm talking with chat, and then I eventually go back and I'm like looking down, and the vent like has this little slit on it, like to see into the vent, like this little window. And then I just happened to like bump into it when I was down there, and it's on a hinge. I was like, no other vent in the game was on a hinge. It's like a cat door. And I'm like, they've never had it before. I was like, I don't know how I would have discovered that without accidentally doing it because this was never a mechanic in the previous chapters. uh, so it was like that annoyed me because I'm like, oh, all I had to do was crawl through. Like if they had, like in my mind, that kind of thing should have been environmental storytelling. I'm like, yo, Frank, you got to stop your cat from going into the maintenance vents out near the security booth or whatever. Like then that would have told me, okay, if the cat can do it, I can do it. You know what I mean? Because there are other bits like that, like, oh, so and so locked themselves into this room, but there's a way to access it through the bathrooms, this way. I'm like, okay, well, that's how I do it. So I have to go to that bathroom, blah blah blah. And they like have good direction on how you find stuff for other things, but like that just was really annoying. Like, how would I have figured this out otherwise? So that bugged me. But aside from those things, which I feel like could have been easily caught in QA, maybe they didn't do enough of it. Or like they're in the know for so long that to them it's natural. And I'm like, maybe it was 12 years ago when you were making the game, but not now. So, but yeah, overall, it was a really fun game. Kind of short, very spooky. There's this one bit where there's like three robots patrolling this area, and I do something, and like for whatever reason, I don't know what caused it, but like the robots like kind of power down, but I didn't know that, so I'm peeking, and I see one robot which was patrolling the area I was going through. I was like, oh, the guy's just standing there. What's he doing? I was like, and typically they have like a proximity sensor, so they know like if you run past them. I was like, I'll just go left. So I turned left, but the other robot was down right there, and that's not scripted. It's just where he was. And I like turned the corner. I'm like, oh Jesus, 'cause he's like right there. Scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh man, thank God they weren't alive though. But and then it was funny because there was like a bit where I was in a room and there was a vent, and I'm like, and next to the vent was a downed robot. I was like, oh, I know if I crawl in this vent, this robot's gonna like grab my leg and then pull me out and throw me across the room. And so I go to crawl down, but I can like crawl through sideways, which breaks logic because I shouldn't be able to do that. So I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna crawl in backwards and watch him. Like, oh, he didn't do anything. And then later, I'm at a part where like I see we're past the robots, and there's like this creature is now the new thing, and we haven't encountered it yet. But I see like I'm rebooting the server in this dark area, and there's like these metal slits in this area, and they're bent, like something broke through them. I'm like, and there's like all this crap on the ground. I'm like, the dude's in here, and the computer terminal's behind it, like the opposite side. And it's like, oh, to activate it, please step on the designated area and flash the security bit. I'm like, oh, you want me to stand on the X and hit the security thing with the bent bars behind me? I'm like, I know I'm gonna get grabbed. And sure enough, I scan it and then I get grabbed and I have to like run away. And then I run back to the elevator, and it's like a scripted event, of course, but I run back to the elevator, and there was a note from earlier when you get in, like, oh, sometimes the elevator has some problems. You have to wait for it to reboot and then just hit the button again. And that happens like, no, I was like panicking, even though I was gonna be fine. But it was there were some good jump scares in that game. That got me pretty good. But yeah, it's overall pretty good. Fun mechanic with the gun. Like they there's a lot of stuff they teach you through the notes, which I like, which is why the cat door thing pissed me off because I'm like, you teach the player how to do everything else because they say like, oh, the cat has this the C.A.T, not the actual animal door. The gun you have has this feature to do this, but make sure not to shoot the AT5 robots in the chest where their power core is. And it's like that's how you defend yourself against those robots. You shoot them in the chest.
Mhm.
And then later you get a gun or a module for it where it lets you. It's the security module. So what you have to do is you have to aim it at and it has like a monitor on the gun. You aim it at the security thing and you flash it with this bright light, and like that's how it like syncs up that you have the security level, whatever. Like that's the way they do their PAL codes. And it tells you like, don't do this into people's eyes because it'll blind them. And I'm like, okay, this is how I defend myself against this monster that's chasing me around because I can blind it. And then I test it out, and sure enough, that's how it works. So they're like, there's all these things like it teaches you the mechanics through these other ways that they're trying to warn you about stuff. But so the things that they don't do kind of piss me off. And I'm like, damn it, like you do everything else so well through context of user warning on how to operate a tool and how you can use it offensively. but not in other areas where you just leave it kind of blank. And then there's like one bit where I had to get a code for something. I was like, I need this code for like Maria's computer. I need her login ID. I don't have it. And I just happened to go back, you know what? Let me check my tasks again, just in case it does what it did for the door at the beginning of the game. And sure enough, it's like, oh, I can get into Maria's terminal with her code 6161 or whatever. I'm like, when did I find Maria's code? Like, I don't even remember finding it, but it was in the task description. I was like, okay, whatever. But I had it, but I made sure to double check it because of that early game bit. So there were a couple bits where I'm like, it definitely could have been polished. But overall, I did enjoy the experience. Very spooky game. Really cool designs though, because everything's like 80s. It's like all the
Mhm.
food's like foil wrapped and stuff. And why would you have a resort on the moon? It's cool. But yeah, a fun time. I definitely say check it out. And then yeah, after that, I haven't played anything else yet. I did pick up, like I talked about, or maybe I didn't talk about it, but I picked up Escape Simulator 2 as part of a Steam sale. So I have that because I really enjoyed Escape Simulator. We've played that. Um, I did play through the tutorial. I'm looking forward to playing that. I might play that next just to have some kind of smaller to play through and not as scary. But and then, yeah, just got to try out those other Warhammer games I picked up. Picked up some new Tyranid models, put one together the other night, which was, and it was funny. I was like, there's this hobby shop that I go to, and in my mind, the way their point system worked was like, oh, for every $200 I spend, I get 10% off. But it's not 10%, it's just $10,
Oh.
which could be 10% of a $100 purchase.
Mhm.
But in my mind, it was 10%, and I had like 500 something points. Like, oh, I get 20% off. So I was playing like, oh, what if I bought this and this, and I can get this, and then at 20% off, okay, that 10% takes away the tax, and I get an additional 10%. And then if I buy this box that has 2 models I don't want, but I can sell those for like $70 and blah blah blah. And then I only spend this much, but I get this much out of it, and I save all this money. And then like I'm planning in my head, I'm like psyching myself up because I'm gonna have an extra check in January, plus my vacation payout, because I don't use all my vacation time. And I was like, "Oh, this would be great, this would be great." And I go down there the other day to go buy the one box, and I'm looking at, how many points I got. I'm checking, like, "Oh, you have this much point, 200 points is $10. You can, do 15 for a little more. You can get this," like, they have other perks as well you can do, and I only care about the money. I was like, and then I got around, "Oh, damn it, it's not a percentage. It's
It's
the total."
$20 off.
Yeah, it's $20. Yeah, it's because I kept confusing it with the old hobby shop we had near me, which what they would do is after 10 purchases, they sum up the total of your 10 purchases and then give you 20% of that total as your discount, was the way they
Oh.
did it. Which is really
Hmm.
cool, which is, not a whole lot if you're only buying like, 10 purchases of $10 or whatever. But I was buying like a lot of paint there and like some Warhammer stuff and hobby stuff. It's like it was adding up.
Mhm.
And you can get some like pretty nice discounts. But I confused that with the other one over here. I was like, but they do have a January promo going on where you get 10% off. I'm like, okay, well, 10% at least will take care of the tax. So that's good. And then I can still get $10 off. So maybe I'll reevaluate that then. But yeah, I was like psyching myself up, like, oh man, I get like X hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, but I only have to pay this much money. It's like that's such a good deal. No, that is not the case. Um,
Turns out, no.
yep. I was like, damn it. So I had to talk myself out of everything and just get the one. Um, and the benefit is I'm selling two of the models to someone. Hopefully they'll get back to me, man. I'm like kind of bugging me that this person's not getting back to me as quickly as I post on the local Discord, like, hey, I'm buying this box. Or is anybody interested in these two models in this box? I already have them because I got them from a previous thing, but I want the other ones, blah blah blah. I figured I could sell them for cheaper than the box you can buy them in right now. And so I was like, I'm interested. I'm like, okay, how about $70 for the two? And they're like, sounds good. And I was like, okay, I can go up to the place tomorrow. I got some time in the afternoon, or just let me know. And like they haven't got back to me. I was like, yeah, you're not, and you're online. Are you not like interested? Like, because I want to avoid having to go through the eBay route of like
Mhm.
posting on eBay and waiting. It's like I don't mind because I can sell it for more on eBay. But it's like I'll sell it for cheaper just to get it out of my hands.
Mhm.
So hopefully they get back to me. If I don't hear from them, it's like, well, I guess I'm gonna list it on eBay. But anyway, all right. Well, I guess that'll do. I don't have any other notes. Mainly those I had were just for routine. But yeah, go ahead and call it there. So thank you all for tuning in. Listen, thank you, Zaya, for joining,
Mhm.
and we will see you all next time.
Bye.